Well, Friday will mark the second National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, a day to honor the children, now adults, who were forced to attend residential schools and survived, and also to honor the children whose lives were destroyed and lost in these institutions. Senator Michèle Audette is the past president of the Native Women's Association of Canada. She also served as a commissioner for the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. The senator joins us right now. Senator, thank you for being here.
Merci. Thank you.
Now, as we mark this second National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, I'm wondering about what you are thinking of. Is it the survivors, the children who never came home? What, or perhaps more accurately, who are you holding in your heart right now?
I'm holding my mom, even though she's away from where I am today. She's in our community. I'm holding my aunties, my cousin, many people that I've met over the years that had too many stories about what happened to them in residential schools or also day school. Mm-hmm. I also carry in my heart I guess it's natural being a mom and a kukum. I carry the people of the second and third generation that walk beside the family who were affected and still, and this generation also trying to understand and reconnect with the past, but to have a place also that we can say we're not survivors, but we want to live and we have the right to live. So I have one or thousands of people in my heart. Mm-hmm. That's how I am.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you have met so many people who have walked the path. And that does make me wonder, because you have served, as we said, as a commissioner for the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. And I'm wondering whether or not that experience changes the way you think of this national holiday.
It did. It did. And it's something that I think we were blessed, and still today. But to be honest, this journey for me, it was a moment that I realized that our stories, the voices that we heard across Canada, some of them or many of them had trust in us to make sure that their voice resonates to the federal government and each government across Canada. But in my heart also was that for 3 years, I was not in a depression, but I was very low with the energy, because it was either a story of somebody close to me, it was one of our story, my kids or me. So it was hard to detach myself and my spirit. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, what kept me going, it's that now that I know, I cannot pretend that it was isolated or it's a few stories. I have a responsibility. Mm-hmm. So I have to honor that every day in many ways. So that's how I feel.
Well, it does lead me to wonder, because I called it a national holiday or a holiday, but as you know, it remains in large part a day that is really only observed by federally regulated industries. Not every province has adopted this day that's meant for reflection and remembrance. What does that say about where we are as a country and on the path to reconciliation?
It might be an example that it's nothing for some of us. I was with my teenagers at the IG, a food store, and this Quebecois person was so proud to say that he owns 3 food market or a store, and for the first time, all the staff will wear the orange shirt, and he wanted to do in a good way. And it's all Quebecois people, or the majority. I don't think there's many Indigenous people working there. And they wanted to do good. So for me, it tells me that there's more allies that we can think that are outside of government places, the elected people where we challenge or we are challenged. And it was telling me that we need to continue to educate, even though we're exhausted or it's demanding a lot. Now it's them that they might become the people explaining why they wear the orange shirt that they at that store or at that place. Mm-hmm. And then I realized across Canada that many Canadian students from, very young age or university level that they will stand with us and beside us. And that's, for me, very powerful and important.
Mm-hmm. And yet you and I are speaking on a day that also marks the second anniversary of Joyce Echaquan's death in Quebec. A coroner's report released last year really identifying both racism and prejudice as contributing factors to her death. But in the midst of a Quebec election, Indigenous issues have not figured very largely. What's your reaction to that?
I was away for a month up north, like every year. And when I came back, I was following the second or the third debate. Nothing about Indigenous good or, initiative or issue or things that it's affecting us. Then I said to myself, it's again our responsibility as people, as Indigenous people or allies, to remind the Quebec election, the people that are involved in that election, that you don't need a journalist to ask you the question. If you truly believe that we have to rebuild the relationship that is broken or in the process of nation to nation, like some of them will say, then just add us in your answer. But they didn't. So we'll make sure that the next government, who will be chosen by the people who will vote, will not stop ourselves to educate and remind them that we were there, we're still there, and we're not giving up.
Senator Michèle Audette, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you.